Here is an excerpt of recent statements by Georgia 9th District U.S. Representative Doug Collins concerning his feelings about federal government control over education nationwide.
Because one of the things that we talk about in jobs in this committee and regulatory in this committee is we need an educated workforce. But yet we have an ever-expanding Department of Education up here, of many of which have never been in a classroom. Educators sitting in a cubicle saying, here's how you teach kids, and have never taught in a classroom. It's not the fact if regulation matters. It's the fact of Washington on steroids thinking we know better than everywhere else.
In this video, Georgia 9th District U.S. Representative Doug Collins criticizes U.S. government control over education. But while he makes a nice show for the camera, as is his pattern, in 2015 Doug Collins followed the wishes of House leadership and voted for the federal government to maintain the tightest rein over the education standards of America's children. He did that when he voted for S. 1177, the Every Student Succeeds Act. ESSA was nothing but a dog and pony show to make it appear that control over education standards was being returned to the states, expressing that the U.S. Department of Education could not legally mandate Common Core. But what the DOE cannot mandate directly, it mandates through other insidious means. Under ESSA, the states are fully accountable to the U.S. Department of Education. But while the bill Doug Collins voted for requires accountability for education to the states, it did not grant authority over education standards. Under ESSA, authority over education standards, in every state, is retained by the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Education. Here's how the ESSA dog and pony show works. Under ESSA, which Doug Collins voted for, each state must submit an education plan to the U.S. Secretary of Education. That sounds nice, as if the states have some discretion over the content of those plans. But they don't. That is because each state plan must include the same standards of achievement, as compared with all other states. And each state plan must utilize the same nationally recognized tests, so to provide data, which can be compared across all states. And since most states have already implemented Common Core, in practical terms, the only standards available for states, which can fulfill this ESSA mandate, is Common Core. ESSA expands the control of the federal government over assessment testing. Furthermore, ESSA provides for the U.S. government to mine the data gleaned from a testing system that is uniform across all states. This data will be used to not only ensure that all states adequately educate according to Common Core standards, but also to place America's children along a career path chosen, not by students and parents, but by central planners. And Doug Collins says he is not for the U.S. government regulating education among the states? If that is true, then why did Doug vote for ESSA? The real reason ESSA passed into law? Money. According to congressional watchdog group MapLight, each Georgia US representative voted on this bill according to the majority of contributions he received. In fact, that is practically true for the entire House of Representatives, only 10% voting against the wishes of the majority of their contributors. As an example, groups who supported the passage of ESSA contributed $53,700 to Doug Collins' campaign fund. But those who opposed its passage only contributed $2,250. Doug Collins voted yea on ESSA. By contrast, Doug's colleague in Georgia's 10th District, Jody Heiss, received only $18,300 from those who supported the bill, but $28,094 from those who opposed it. Heiss voted no. The 9th District is not served by a representative, who votes according to the will of his major contributors. The 9th District can only be served by a representative, who votes according to the will of the 9th District, regardless who might contribute to a campaign. When Mike Scapin represents the 9th District, he will vote according to the will of the district, and will never sell his vote to receive a contribution. As a result of ESSA becoming law, and Doug Collins' support of the bill, Georgia and the entire country is forced to conform to an education system that completely excludes parent, teacher, and student voices and replaces them with federal authority. The only way for states to avoid the federal education agenda is to refuse the federal money. The Every Student Succeeds Act is an unjust law. It is unconstitutional. It is bought and paid for by special interests. And so, just so you know, while Doug Collins speaks against federal control of education, he votes for the exact opposite. This is just another typical Doug Collins, dog and pony show.
If that is the regulatory environment that this country wants, then we're headed straight for disaster. I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.